You've discovered Bananas, Crackers, and Nuts, a program about coloring outside the lines in a world that keeps trying to take away your crayons. My viewpoints, for the most part, are based on the concepts that the only constant you can count on is change. And paranoid is, more often than not, just good thinking in disguise. There was a time when I wore a cape. A big cape, a red cape, with a huge letter S right in the middle of it. You may have seen one like it before. I also had this blue, tight-fitting costume. Almost looked like blue underwear, you know, the old long johns. Big S in the middle of the chest, and my pecs could show, and my ripples in my abdomen, my abs, is that they call it? Yeah, all that stuff I don't have anymore. I could fly faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings with a single blonde. But now I was married. I had to protect a wife now. I was raised in a generation where you needed to be the man of steel, where your main job in life was to provide for, protect, keep happy, keep safe that lady to whom you said, I do. Or depending on where you're from, I does. You know, that'll do it too. I wore this cape for a long time, and then I began to notice some wrinkles in it. And I realized that I couldn't fly as far, and I couldn't fly as fast. I felt, for the first time, the beginnings of those rays of soft kryptonite. Now, let me explain soft kryptonite. Kryptonite, of course, is the stuff that can kill Superman. Well, soft kryptonite won't kill you, but it will get your attention, and as often as not, it'll spoil your day. Can even be embarrassing. The first time I felt those rays was during the construction of the log home that I've talked to you about, and toward the end of finishing. We came up one night after work, 9:30, summer night, nice, warm night, dark, surrounded by forest, okay. Came up the only way into the house because they hadn't finished, backfilling to the house yet. So the only way in was the only way out. And we came to see what kind of a job they'd done on the floor finishing. Fellows had done a really great job. We decided it looked terrific. And they even put some of that nice, crisp, crinkly craft paper around on the floors, little passageways, which we adhered to, of course, not wanting to step on our new floor stain, and looked through the house, got ready to leave, and heard a noise, sort of a rummaging around down in the basement. Something with 2 legs or 4 was down there. And we had a lot of black bear in the area, as well as a certain type of bobcat and some other things, coyotes that tend to frequent the area. Forest creatures, and we weren't sure what was down there. Frankly, I would have rather a 4-legged than a 2, but that's a whole different story. Sometimes they're easier to deal with, but not empty-handed. And that's where we were, empty-handed. Now, up until now, you could grab a hold of a 2x4 or some kind of a stick to protect yourself with. Remembering now I had the lady of my life with me, Vigi, now sort of huddled in the corner, and I'm in front of her. I'm going to pull out, my suit of steel now. It's going to be the knight, at least in shining armor, even with a little tarnish on it, as in my case, going to do something to make sure that she's okay. And I'm not too thrilled either about standing there and feeling what I felt. What I felt was helpless, a feeling I never want to feel again, not that helpless. The other problem we're running into here is that the nearest phone booth was gone. Everybody had cell phones now. Nowhere to put my cape back on or my, blue leotards with the big S in the center of the chest. All I could do was try to get 1 bar of service, because on the hill where we are, that's about all you're lucky to get at times, and I was successful. The old sale kicked in. We got the local police, and the constable and his henchmen were there in no time at all, much to their credit. They were fast. Checked out the basement, came up the stairs, looked around. We're still in the corner. Sound is still, whooshing around down there, right? But it's not in the basement now because they've checked that out. And now they find it's not on the main floor. So they carefully go up the stairs into the guest room. Nothing. Checked out the loft. Nothing. Checked out my studio. Laughter. They're laughing their heads off. Said, come on up. We'll show you what it is. Well, relief settled in right away, headed up the stairs, and what do we see but a ceiling fan that one of the workmen had accidentally left on, and the paper, the brown, crispy, crinkly craft paper, had come loose and was flapping around big time, making this noise. Well, we had a good laugh and went home that night, but I didn't sleep that well, because I didn't like that feeling of vulnerability, and I decided I had to become otherwise enabled. A couple of weeks later, at the NRA class for Basic Pistol, they asked me what I wanted to get out of the class. Why was I there? And I said, I'm interested mostly in self-defense. Punching holes in paper is fine, but self-defense, please. Because I've grown too old to swing a 2x4 at some kid's head who's half my age. It was the first time I felt those soft kryptonite rays coming through my suit. I didn't feel them again for years. Tucked my suit away in the closet, polished up the armor, put it in the corner. The cape was neatly folded. Until the other day. Said same house. Needs stain now 5 years later. And I priced around. It's pretty darn expensive to get that done. And I thought, I can do this. VG said, no, you can't. I said, I can do this. I know I can do this. Puffed my chest out a little bit, such as it is. Dragged out my 28-foot ladder, extended it to full length, and it just did make it to the top of the house. I began to climb. And I climbed a little slower. I climbed a little slower than that. And stopped about halfway up. Looked up, still a long way to go. 28 feet, huh? Looked down. Here's the funny part. You're halfway up the ladder. You look down. It looks a lot farther than up. But you're halfway. So I stood there. I'm making a decision now. And I can feel those soft kryptonite rays again. I can feel the wrinkles in my suit. I can see the tarnish on my armor. And I start to come down, one step at a time. 2 feet on the rung, next rung. 2 feet on the rung, next rung. And I'm edging my way down. Get down to the ground, and she says, what are you doing? I said, I got scared. I hated to admit that to her, but, 31 years together, and you admit stuff, They know stuff anyway. Believe me, they know things. They know things that you don't know about you. That's scared. She says, that's crazy. In the old days, we used to run all over the roof and climb up and down ladders. And I said, yeah, but I just, I don't know what it is. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Let me go back up. I'll be okay. Stand on the bottom of it. Now, here she is, again, not the biggest person in the world. 2-something, 210. Which is more than it should be, but she's not going to do much catching if the ladder tilts, all right? So I start climbing back up the ladder, right? And I get up halfway. I take another step. Now I'm one more rung above the halfway point where I was before. I look up. There's a long way. I look down. That's even longer than before. And somehow, I don't know how, it's longer than up, even though I'm halfway. So I stood there for a while making the command decision, came down again, one rung at a time like before, hit the ground, and she says, what's the matter? So I was scared. I said, you knew that before. Why did you go back up? I said, well, I still wanted to be your hero. I said, what makes you think you were my hero in the first place? Now that hurt. I want to wish you minimal impact from the forces of evil. Polish your armor, press your cape, and I hope you'll be here next time for Bananas, Crackers, and Nuts. And in the meantime, check out my blog. It's at bananascrackersandnuts.com. And to really do it right, send me an email at fred@fredmacy.com. That's Fred, M-A-S-E-Y, 1S. Grandpa always said one was all we could afford anyway, and what the heck, it was enough. Let me know what you think. Also, more importantly, let me know what subjects you might like me to cover in the future, okay? Until next time, this is Fred Macy urging you to color outside the lines. But don't lose your crayons.